Today, I'm going to be telling you all everything there is to know about Roman numerals, which you might not care at first, but you'll probably care more. Um, Here are all of the questions that you didn't know about Roman numerals. Um, I'm going to be going over a couple of these questions today, and a couple other different fun facts that you probably didn't know. So who originally developed Roman numerals and why? Um, there's not really any specific individual that developed Roman numerals. They were just developed in, ancient Rome. As, the name might suggest. Um, they emerged during the 8th to 9th century BC, and Roman numerals, we think, were based on the Etruscan numbering system, which is the civilization that the Roman Empire was built. Why were Roman numerals developed? People needed a standardized counting system, and that's what they got with Roman numerals. It worked. It's a little bit more difficult than what we use today, but I think it's a pretty fancy system once you look more into it, because I could never read Roman numerals before I started this project, and now I feel like I probably won't forget. Like, I don't know, I might mix up the bigger numbers, but I don't know. I feel like I'm a lot more confident with my Roman numerals after this, and I hope I can make some of you more confident about your Roman numerals too. But what does each letter of Roman numerals mean? So there are 7 letters in Roman numerals. It's I, V, X, L, C, D, and M. I is 1, V is 5, X is 10, L is 50, C is 100, D is 500, M is 1000. I think it's a little interesting. They just do a combination of those letters with like adding and subtracting, and that's basically how you get the number that they needed to get. They had no number for 0, which is a little interesting. Like when you think about it, like they had no way to represent the concept of like having nothing. There was literally like just nothing or something. But it's interesting when you think about it. How did they decide which letters mean what? I think that this is a little interesting because there are 2 different debating theories on where the letters came from. There's theory number 1, which is the hand signals theory, and it's where like Roman numerals were based on like how your hands look when you count. So like 1, 2, and 3 are like your fingers, and then 5 is when you have your hand like this, and there's like a V in between your thumb and fingers. And 6, 7, 8, and 10, there's like an X with your thumbs, which is interesting. However, I kind of like the other theory just a little bit more, and this is called the tally stick theory. It argues that Roman numerals origins came from shepherds that used to count their sheep on sticks of wood, and they would like carve notches into the sticks of wood. And so it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and for the 5th notch, they would have like 2 notches in the shape of a V, and the 10th notch, like then it was like singular notches again, and the 10th notch was the shape of an X. And so there's a couple of examples on my page right here, but shortened down, they look exactly like Roman numerals. And it's believed that this method was still used by like shepherds in Italy way into the 19th century. So they were definitely used for like quite a while. And so I think that this is definitely a good theory for why Roman numerals came to exist, at least in my mind. It makes sense. How are they used now versus how were they used in the past? in the past. They were used for like daily life struggles and for like bigger math problems too, because these people were smart enough to do math. That's not the problem. They just didn't have the like the tools around them to be able to actually do this math. And so they needed this standardized number system to like do what they were trying to do. And it helped with like trade so they could buy things from one another. And it helped with warfare and governing. Like it helped with so many things in the past, and they used it for about like 1800 years. Like after the Roman Empire fell, they still continued to use it in England, for until like the 15th century. Um, but yeah, they were very, very, excuse me, very, very helpful in the past. And they're still used today in order to refer to like royal people, kind of like kings and queens, emperors, and popes who all have the same name. Like they're that name, and then the like fifth or seventh or whatever. Um, and they're also used in a couple of like subjects, when deemed necessary, and in like the Super Bowl or the Olympic Games, and like a couple other things like watches and clocks. Like they can be used for so many things. To just add like a little classy touch, I think. Um, but none of these current uses that Roman numerals are kind of being used for now are the original reason that they were developed. So I think it's personally pretty interesting to see how the specific needs like have changed over the thousands of years that we've been alive. And I think it's interesting to see how things will continue to change as we just grow as a civilization. But on to the next slide. Did Roman numerals lead to further mathematical developments? They played a significant role in like the development of mathematics and in history, but there were not really any big mathematical innovations during the Roman Empire. Um, but they were definitely a big part of mathematics. Um, why are Roman numerals not used as much nowadays? Um, they like started using the Arabic numbers, which is the number system that's used today, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah blah blah. And they're just easier in everyday life and calculations to deal with larger numbers. Like you don't have to do like math to figure out a number to do more math with that number. It's like you just have the numbers that you have given to you that you have to do math with. So you don't have to do math twice. It's kind of like Roman numerals, you kind of have to do math twice, I think. But it doesn't stop people from finding ways to incorporate Roman numerals into modern day life still. Just because we don't use them in the same ways that we used to. I think this was really interesting on how to learn to read Roman numerals. They're read from like the same way as the English language, from left to right. You combine the 7 letters based on addition and subtraction. If a letter comes before a letter of greater value, you add or subtract, and like vice versa. So if there's like 5 and then 2, like so V and then 2 I's, that would be 7, like 2 I's afterwards. But if there's a V and like 1 I beforehand, I'm pretty sure only 1 I can come beforehand. Like, if it was gonna be like 2 I's beforehand, I think they would just do 3 I's after instead. I'm pretty sure. From what I saw on the research that I did. But, like, 4 would be 5 minus 1, and the 1 would come before the 5 because you're subtracting the 1. Like, if the 1 came after the 5, then that would be 6. So you put it before the 5, and then people know to subtract. And there's just a couple more examples with like larger numbers, and I thought that it was really interesting to learn about. Overall, they were very important in old society, and I think that people should not really forget about them because history doesn't really deserve to be forgotten. I think there are quite a few other things in history that have been forgotten. Um, and while they're not super prevalent today, I think that they still deserve to be remembered as like one of the first like standardized counting systems. Um, and that like people back then were so smart. And it's crazy to see like how far we've come and how things have changed. But I hope you care slightly more about Roman numerals now than when you first started watching. And uh, thank you for listening. Shout out Roman numerals.